Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Wright. Today, we'll be discussing the concept of family engagement, which is a cornerstone of effective social work practice. Family engagement involves actively involving families in the planning and decision-making processes that affect their lives. It's crucial because it fosters collaboration, empowers families, and leads to better outcomes for children and youth. However, it's important to recognize that family engagement isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Different cultures have different ways of engaging with family members and with professionals, which means that our strategies need to be adaptable and culturally responsive. Understanding these cultural variations is key to engaging families in a way that respects their values and strengthens our partnerships with them. Let's start by exploring some best practices in family engagement. Effective family engagement requires clear communication, respect, and collaboration. It's about building trust with families, understanding their strengths and needs, and involving them as active partners in the process. Some of the key practices include active listening, truly hearing what families have to say and validating their experiences. Shared decision-making, involving families in setting goals and making decisions about services or interventions. Transparency, being clear about processes, expectations, and outcomes so families know what to expect and feel more in control. But these best practices might look different depending on the cultural context. For example, in some cultures, family decisions are made collectively with input from extended family members or community elders. In others, decisions may be more hierarchical with one family member, often the oldest or most respected, making the final call. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for tailoring our engagement strategies to fit the cultural context of the families we work with. Now, let's take a crucial look at some common family engagement strategies, especially through a cultural lens. Traditional family engagement strategies often assume that families are nuclear, with clear defined roles and a focus on individual decision-making. However, this model doesn't necessarily fit all cultural contexts. For example, strategies that work well with nuclear families might not be as effective with extended families or collectivist cultures, where decision-making is more communal. Additionally, there's a risk of imposing our own cultural norms and expectations on families we serve. For instance, we might prioritize punctuality, direct communication, or individual responsibility without realizing that these values aren't universal. If we are not careful, we could inadvertently alienate families or create barriers to effective engagement. To avoid this, it's essential that we critically assess our engagement strategies and consider how they might need to be adapted or rethought to be more culturally responsive. This means being open to alternative approaches and recognizing that there is no single right way to engage families. So, how can we put this into practice and engage families in a way that are culturally responsive? Well, one strategy is to start by asking questions and be curious about the family's cultural background. Rather than assuming that your usual engagement approach will work, take the time to learn about the family's values, communication styles, and decision-making processes. For example, you might ask, how are important decisions usually made in your family? Or, who in your family should be involved in this discussion? Another approach is to be flexible and willing to adapt your methods. If a family prefers to involve multiple relatives in a meeting, try to accommodate that. If they communicate more comfortably in a language other than English, ensure that you provide an interpreter or translate materials into their preferred language. For example, here's an example of a successful family engagement. In some Indigenous communities, social workers have found that starting meetings with a traditional ceremony or acknowledging the land can help build trust and show respect for the family's cultural practice. This not only creates a more welcoming environment, but also honors the family's heritage and strengthens the relationship between the social worker and the family. Another example could be when working with a family from a culture that values face-to-face interactions over written communication. In this case, you might prioritize in-person visits and discussions over emails or written reports to build rapport and ensure clear communication. In summary, family engagement is a vital part of social work, but it's important to approach it with cultural sensitivity and adaptability. By understanding and respecting the diverse ways that families engage and make decisions, we can build stronger partnerships and achieve better outcomes. As you think about your own practice, I encourage you to reflect on how you can enhance your engagement practices with diverse families. What steps can you take to ensure that your strategies are culturally responsive? How will you adapt your approach to meet the unique needs of the families you work with? Thank you for your commitment to this important aspect of social work, and I look forward to seeing how you apply these ideas in your practice.